I'm Ryan.
I'm Aaron.
And together we are
Functionally literate.
Yeah.
Word.
Today we are talking about 12 Months by Jim Butcher, the most recent novel of the Dresden Files. Book 18. 18 books, man.
That's a lot. And here we are still reading it.
We are talking about chapters 25 through 28 today. So previously, Harry went to Thanksgiving. He got some really good advice from his best bud, Michael. Then, same day, Thanksgiving Day, he went and he saved a guy from a curse that he saw 15 years ago. It was a real turning point for him. He got his mojo back. That's good. Then Mab paid Harry a visit, and I wouldn't say what they had was a heart-to-heart, but it was a very frank conversation about, you know, everything that's bothering Harry. Many of those things Mab inflicted on him.
And many things Mab did wonderfully for him.
True. Yeah. She inflicted good and bad things on him.
True.
Yeah. And then Harry went on his fourth date and he apologized for his behavior at Laura's Halloween party. And then Laura apologized for her behavior at her Halloween party. And then Harry made a crazy offer, and she was like, I need to think about it. And he's like, I'd respect you less if you didn't.
And then?
And then we got some shit to talk about this episode.
Yeah.
Chapter 25, How Harry Spoke with His Grandfather and How He Brought His Daughter Home.
This wasn't on my bingo card.
No, you weren't expecting
Were you expecting to see Ebenezer?
Papa Eb?
And not have them have like a knockdown, drag-out fight?
Honestly, I wasn't expecting him to show up. But I was not expecting a knockout, drag-out fight when he did show up. I was not expecting him to, like, actually properly apologize and mean it. And to be understanding about Harry's position. I was not expecting any of that.
And understanding about Thomas?
That was, and I think that's what took him 6 months to process before he went and talked to his grandson.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's interesting that the Christmassy chapters just happen to be around chapter 25, 26. I like this. This is really nice. I'm glad that he got to have this conversation with Eb.
Yeah.
I think he needed it. I think more than ever, like, he needs his support system, and it seems like Ebenezer is actually going to be a part of that support system. I mean, time will tell, but...
Is it weird that Ebenezer knows Bear?
No, not at all. No, that totally makes sense. And she looks scared of him, too, so he did something.
But he looks like he likes her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is a better reaction than he gave Kincaid.
And he straight up tells her, I'm glad it's you protecting him.
Which is a lot coming from Ebenezer.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. And, you know, I still see where Eb's coming from. Like, I'm glad he apologized, and I get where he's coming from. I don't agree with the whole thing where he would have killed Harry, obviously. That would have,
So, do you want to know something interesting?
Yeah, please.
So, Ebenezer says that he had corner hounds after him for a while.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about corner hounds?
I know that they are the Hounds of Tindalos, which come up from time to time in Call of Cthulhu games.
Okay, yeah.
I know that when in a Call of Cthulhu game, if you are devoured by a Hound of Tindalos, you are lost to time and space.
Okay. Do you know, in the Cthulhu mythos, why the Hounds of Tindalos hunt you?
No, but I've heard this theory. People think that Ebenezer must have been time traveling recently, and that's why.
In the Cthulhu mythos,
yeah,
Hounds of Tindalos typically start after people who mess with time travel.
Yeah. And so there is a theory that happened. and that the Ebenezer that we see in the events of Battleground is not the Ebenezer that we see in the events of Peace Talks.
Oh, I haven't heard that particular
Yeah.
one. I didn't know when he was messing with time travel, because the way this makes it sound is that they'd been chasing him well before Peace Talks.
The fan theory that I saw was that the Ebenezer that we see in Peace Talks is from the future. The Ebenezer that we see in Battleground is from the present. And so when Harry's like, we got some stuff that we'll need to talk about, and Eb's like, well, we don't have time to talk about it right now. Some people felt like whatever his response was in that moment was not the response someone who accidentally almost killed their grandson would give. That, on top of the hounds, makes people think time travel shenanigans, and that now that the now Ebenezer that we're seeing is the present day one.
Yeah.
I mean, if I were to add credence to this theory, that last bit is what I think, if that's true.
And as we all know, Butcher tends to, play a little fast and loose with existing mythos. Little
Mythi.
And maybe the Corner Hounds aren't, they don't follow the same rules as the one they do in the actual Cthulhu mythos. Because the Dresden verse is its own, it's unique, right?
It takes inspiration, and it'll lift up names straight up, but it has its own rules, yeah.
Right. But out of all of the wizards that exist, Ebenezer is one of the ones that has authority to play with time.
Mm-hmm.
Because he can break that law.
Yeah. So, aside from that, what about this conversation that he has with Harry stands out to you?
It's interesting that Ebenezer was surprised by how good Dresden did in the duel.
Yeah. He's admitting to Harry, some of the things that happened in that duel were contingencies that I had created to be triggered under specific circumstances, and you triggered them. You went to war against me, and you kind of succeeded because my contingencies activated, and they were only designed to be activated under these specific circumstances, so good job. And Harry could tell that was a lot for him to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of people admitting some really tough things in this story.
Ebenezer also lied to him.
Yeah.
I wonder what he left out.
What do you think he left out?
So it says, he says, kicking you off the council, leaving you vulnerable to creatures like Mab and Lara. But he left something out there.
And Harry noticed. And what's he
leaving out? I
think
there's something else out there.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably some Starborn shit.
Probably. Almost definitely. There's no way Ebenezer doesn't know what's up with the Starborn shit, because he was trying to explain it to him a little bit before.
Yeah.
At the worst possible time.
Right. He gave him a crash course in... Oh, or what was the quote from Peace Talks? What was it? I'll teach you about Starborn after you graduate from How Not to Get Involved with Vampires 101 or some shit like that.
Yeah.
It was one of my favorite sass lines from that book.
Yeah. Just kept needling him. And, I thought that was really fun in Peace Talks, that he just kept needling him. Because it was not undeserved needling by any means.
Yeah, but Harry should have told Eb about Thomas sooner. It should have come up before then.
I want to agree with you, but he did kind of almost die when he told Ebenezer.
Yeah, but they were already fighting.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like he would have flipped out regardless.
Sure, but if they had flipped out, I don't know, in a level-headed, one-on-one conversation,
mm-hmm.
If you escalate from here to here,
mm-hmm.
Okay,
you need to put this in more audible, friendly terms.
Fine. Okay, say you're at, like, neutral, and that comment would have taken Ebenezer to DEFCON 1.
Right.
Okay? Is 1 the worst, or is 5 the worst?
I think 1's the worst. So that comment would have taken him to DEFCON 5.
Okay? But Eb and him were fighting, so it's like, Eb was
They were
at
at
DEFCON
DEFCON
4, and that took him into DEFCON 3. You know what I mean? It just kicked him up a notch. So if you had started the base a little lower...
If he just started while he was neutral at, hey, man, that's your grandson.
Right.
Nah, man, I don't picture this still going any better than it did.
It would have gone better. It wouldn't have been great, but it might not have come to that.
But now it's all resolved, and Harry in this moment gets to tell Eb, hey, that man is my brother and he's my friend, and I will break your hand off if you raise it against him.
Okay, now that he's settled that with Ebenezer, he needs to tell Carlos.
Tell Carlos what?
That Thomas is his brother. Do you know how many problems that would solve if Carlos had been like, that's your brother? Well, this all fucking makes sense then.
You cannot convince me that Harry is ever going to be forthcoming with dangerous information with someone of the White Council at this point. Ever. Even if it's Carlos.
Ebenezer's the White Council. Ebenezer's Senior Council.
That's different. He's also Grey Council. Carlos ain't.
Carlos is most likely to be Grey Council out of the other people that he knows.
Maybe now, but not then.
Sure. Harry should have trusted Carlos.
I don't argue with that. But I also am not surprised that didn't happen, and it's not really gonna happen.
It might.
Like, he still hasn't revealed to Carlos anything about Lashiel, and I don't think he's ever going to.
Oh, he can leave that out.
But that's where the suspicion started, though.
Sure. But it would solve so many problems if he told him about Thomas.
Yeah.
Carlos would even be on his side.
I mean, he's kind of already on his side, though.
Yeah, but it would be more on his side.
Sure.
Because it would explain everything that Harry did, why he did it.
Yeah.
It would explain Harry fucking him up at the peace talk party.
Yeah.
Because Harry fucked him up at the peace talk party.
Yeah, he was a jerk. And he felt like a jerk in the moment, too, though.
Yeah.
So,
But it would explain all of that.
Yeah, it would.
And I think Carlos would understand.
I don't know, man. I think that's opening up a can of worms Harry doesn't want.
Maybe.
You, though, think that honesty is the way to go. And I agree. I do think honesty is the way to go. But, Harry lives in a world that's not so black and white.
No. Even in this universe, Harry lives in his fucking own reality.
Yeah.
It took him 10 books to tell Murphy the truth.
No, it didn't. He told Murphy the truth in book 4.
It felt like 10 books.
Anyway, circling back to this book. This chapter ends with Harry realizing he's being a big fat hypocrite about his own daughter while talking to Ebenezer about his mother. And he realizes, I need to bring my daughter home. I'm bringing her home today. And he's like, Grandpa, let's go. We're getting my daughter and we're bringing her here. And he's like, I think that's a terrible idea, but if that's your choice, I'm going to back your play. And so they did. And that was nice. Chapter 26, How Harry Spent His Christmas.
And even more nice than having Maggie back, they all spent Christmas together as a family.
At the Carpenters. And that's cute. That's sweet.
Honestly, having Michael and Harry hanging out with Ebenezer and Maggie is just like, it's a cute little deal.
What was definitely not on my bingo card was Michael deciding to ask Ebenezer, hey, could we talk about the battle? Like, there's, I have my perspective, but I'd love to get yours. And then they start, like, fucking debriefing about the battle. And it sounded really sweet and nice, and I would have loved to have actually heard some dialogue from it, but Harry didn't want any fucking thing to do with that.
That's
which
because
is
Harry's depressed.
understandably so. And then he had a lovely conversation with Molly. Molly neglected to mention that she took over Santa duties for Chicago.
Was that this year?
Yeah. Because, so Christmas Eve, you remember the Christmas Eve story at the end of Battleground?
Yeah.
That was referenced briefly here, like Christmas morning. He was like, Christmas Eve was very interesting. I was visited by many spirits. One of them was Santa. And then he got on with what Christmas morning was like.
Oh.
Something that was not mentioned in this chapter, by the by, was that special gift that Mab gave Maggie that would have given her Elsa powers for a day.
That is adorable.
It is adorable and was not mentioned.
Oh, can we go back to the start of the chapter?
Yeah.
About Maggie trying to name Fitz's spells.
That was very cute.
Pew, pew, pew.
That was very, very cute. Yeah, it was this whole conversation about, that was in this chapter, 26?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was, okay. Yeah, I thought it was an interesting conversation because first of all, we got to, Maggie is at the castle and she gets to see what the day-to-day is like.
Yeah.
She's getting to know Fitz now. She seems to like Fitz. She loves watching him sling magic around because of course she does. What child wouldn't love seeing that? I love Harry's perspective on that. It's like, I wish she wasn't so excited about the evocation, but I can't argue with the fact that he is slinging fireballs around.
Yeah.
And that conversation about, because we get a new nugget about magic, right? Like, he talks a little more in depth about the magic words that are used because of Maggie. Maggie's like, you should name your spell pew pew pew. That's so funny.
And Fitz is sitting there like, the younger, more modern wizard is
Yeah.
like, well, I mean, yeah, I guess I could.
I could.
And Harry's like, for the love of all that is holy, don't fucking do
A
that.
piece of me will die.
Anytime somebody else hears you say that.
No, but I thought it was interesting how he was like, listen, if I could do it all over again, I would pick different words. And he's like, why don't you? And it's like, because it would set me back years if I took the time to do that now.
Yeah, you'd have to retrain your mind.
Right. He touched on something that is actually pretty accurate scientifically, right? Like when you do something repetitively, you are cementing in your mind that habit, the way that you do it in that way every time. And so I think it's interesting that he touches on that when he's talking about the magic words that he uses when he creates spells.
I mean, every spell that Harry's ever used, can you imagine him having to go back and relearn a different word to associate with that effect? Fuego, Forzare, Defendarius,
Yeah.
Ventus Servitus.
Yeah.
Like, I haven't.
And he's like, listen, I got lucky that my Latin was poor enough that it sounds different from the actual Latin words.
Yeah. Because Fuego's fucking Spanish. It's not even
It's
Latin.
fucking Spanish. And his first actual spell was Flickam Bicus.
Which isn't even Latin.
It's not even Latin. It's just
Flick a bic.
It's just Flickabic. It's just silly nonsense words.
Which might be the most endearing scene with Justin in it
Mm-hmm.
that we ever get a little look at.
The only one we ever got.
Because most of the time, all the stories we hear about Justin are fucking terrible.
And they were never flashbacks.
One of them was a flashback. It was the tennis ball one.
He talked about it. It wasn't a flashback.
I thought we had a flashback.
No, it was just something that he thought about when he was throwing snowballs at Molly.
Oh, yeah.
He was thinking about if it was Justin, there would have been rocks in those snowballs or something.
Yeah. Pain is a good teacher.
Anyway, this is a very nice day. And while Ebenezer and fucking Michael are talking about the Battle of Chicago 6 months ago, Harry's like, I don't give a shit about that. And he starts wandering off on his own. And he's
Also,
watching
Daniel's
the
married
kids.
and has a kid.
Daniel's married and has 2 kids.
What?
His wife is pregnant
Oh, yeah.
and has no, sorry, she's not pregnant. She has an infant in her arms, and there's a toddler running around. And Maggie is very happy to not be the youngest in the house.
Right. I think Maggie and Harry are getting married.
Little Harry? You think so? I don't know. Listen, they're kids. That is a long ways from now.
I understand. And I know it is sort of an adult tendency to ship children.
Yeah, they all do. Except me.
But it would be really hilarious if Harry and Michael's kids got married.
It'd be cute. I wouldn't argue that. It would be cute.
It'd be adorable. Because then they'd actually be family.
Mm-hmm. I mean, in a weird, twisted way through Winter, they kind of are family. I don't think Michael would think of it that way.
I don't think Harry or Molly think of it that way either.
No. That would interfere with the fact that Molly still has a lady boner for Harry. They even kind of allude to that a little bit in this chapter. Just a little bit.
Yeah.
But Molly asks Harry a pointed question. She's like, do you still want to die? And he's like, most people, when they think about asking that question, they get uncomfortable and then don't. And she's like, yeah, but I'm not intimidated by you. So do you still want to die? And he's like, I'm trying to figure out how to live. I don't know. And also, Molly is, she actually kind of likes the work that she's doing as the Winter Lady. She said, quote, it's like I'm everybody's big sister.
I do like the fact that the Winter Fae respect her.
Yeah. She said that there was an incident that made them respect her.
In Urashalka or something like that?
Is that the incident with Carlos?
I don't know. I didn't read that story.
You didn't read that one?
No, I've heard about it like through the grapevine, but I never actually read it. Uralska?
Unalaska. It is a place in Alaska. Yes. The events that got Carlos fucked up, there were also, or maybe even in part because of that event, Winter respected her more after that. And now all she has to do is just, invoke Mab's name, and then people, chill the hell out when they threaten her.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I really got to go back and read that story.
It was a devastating one because I did not know what was going to happen when I read it. And so when I was reading Peace Talks and Harry and Carlos were chatting and Harry said the wrong thing and then Carlos got cold, I was like, Carlos isn't going to tell him what happened. And Harry even thought to himself, like, I'm going to need to sit down and talk with him about whatever the fuck happened. And if that ever happens, it's not going to be anytime soon. I'd like it to happen in this book, but I don't think it's gonna.
See, they both need to tell people. Carlos needs to come clean with Harry. Harry needs to come clean with Carlos.
But he's not going to because he doesn't think he knows who Harry is anymore.
Carlos, Harry, Molly, they all need to sit down and just have like a little conversation.
No. But here's the thing. What happened between Molly and Carlos is really none of Harry's business. So I don't think either of them are going to be forthcoming about it.
No, but I think Carlos blames Molly. He thinks it's intentional.
Right.
That's why I think that Molly needs to sit down too.
Yeah.
And be like, no, this wasn't intentional.
No, I had no idea what would happen. I didn't know. I didn't know that.
I'm new at this.
I'm a baby lady.
Nope. Don't like that.
I'm a baby Winter Lady. I've only been at this for like 5 years. Cut me some slack. Well, actually, it would be more like, 3 years?
Maybe.
I don't. Who the hell knows?
It's interesting that Mab offered Harry not only the Wild Hunt, but her own personal unicorn.
Oh, God, the Rudolph thing.
Uh-huh.
The thing about that conversation that stood out to me, I think Molly said it before they started talking about Rudolph, and it was that whenever she thinks about him, it's like Winter gives her a vibe update about Harry.
Yeah.
And she said, if Winter does that for me, it almost certainly does that for Mab.
Maybe even more detailed.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know...
More power.
Yeah.
She's at the heart of Winter's power.
Yeah.
That's scary. And then he got him thinking about, oh no, I thought Mab was thinking 3 steps ahead, but she's thinking like 10 years ahead. Shit. She's subtly manipulating me. Yeah, like he didn't know that. But I guess he didn't realize the implications of that. I mean, he didn't know. But the idea that Mab was like, yeah, hey, Mab would like me to let you know that she thinks that you should just kill Rudolph and be done with it. And she is totally willing to offer you everything you need to get the revenge that you so badly deserve. And he's just thinking about it. And he's like, not today.
That is not this day.
Not today.
That's another Lord of the Rings reference.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad you got that one.
Molly is like, I want you to be Harry. And I think if you do that, you won't be Harry. And I agree. I think if he did that, he wouldn't be Harry.
No, there's a reason the knights stopped him.
There's a reason, I think, why his stupid wound hasn't healed. And it's because deep down, he really wanted to, and he still does, want to kill Rudolph.
You don't think it'll heal until he lets it go?
Yeah, I do.
Oh.
I do.
Now that's interesting. That's an interesting point. Really, it is.
Yeah. You hadn't considered that.
No. I thought it was just taking longer because it wasn't affected by his supernatural healing factor.
I think the supernatural healing factor isn't working because he wanted to do an evil thing, and he still does. And so, of course it's not healing, because he was hit by a holy avenger. Basically.
Yeah.
That's a D&D reference if you didn't know.
Paladin.
Yeah. I do think that. I don't think it's going to heal until he does. And I do think we'll see that in this book. That is on my bingo
the wound
card.
Heals?
The wound will heal when he can let this go.
What if one of the knights has to come and like, I lift the curse from you?
I don't think it works that way. But, I mean, what do I know? I'm operating off the same information as the rest of us. Chapter 27. How Harry and Laura talked about what their marriage would be like, and how Laura revealed ancient White Court history. So let's break down this ancient White Court history. I think let's just, this is probably the most lore that I have seen dropped succinctly ever in this story outside of Bob.
Hang on. There's a reference in there I don't know if you got.
Probably not. But, okay, so there were thousands of years ago sorcerer kings. These sorcerer kings, let's see, one of them was her ancestor, Laris. Laris.
The first White Court vampire.
The first White Court vampire. He and his woman, they opened a gate to the outside and they let in the hunger, the original hunger. And they were keeping it in this city, and it was fucking with everyone because just the hunger being in the city was making everybody act out on their desires, which, God, could you imagine?
Yeah.
Sounds like a nightmare. Sounds like Sodom and Gomorrah stuff, honestly.
Kinda. But this predates Sodom and Gomorrah, I'm pretty sure.
Sure. I mean, the Bible had to get inspiration from somewhere.
Well, it could be around the same time. Ancient Etruscan, they're talking about the White Council happened at the birth of the Roman Empire, which is in response to the Etruscans. I don't know. History.
So, Laris's solution was to bind the hunger to himself and let it die with him. This went poorly because Laura doesn't use these words, but he raped his apprentice, his daughter and apprentice, Thena.
Yeah.
And that was the first true White Court vampire. And then fast forward to now, and this is where we're at. This is what we're stuck with.
Baby outsiders fuse to their being.
Right. And so Harry thinks, well, I'm a
Starborn.
I'm a fucking Starborn.
Maybe I could do something about that.
I can do something about this. And so he says to Lara, I'm going to try something. It's probably dangerous, but I'm going to try it. Would you be my test subject? And she's like, I'm already regretting this. But she agrees to it. She's like, at your New Year's party later, because it's like 2 a.m. New Year's Eve, right?
Yeah.
We've got like 22 hours until the ball drops. He's like, can you ensure that we can be somewhere alone so I can try something? And she's like, of course. I'm like, okay. Skipping over the conversation she wanted to have before she dropped all that lore, because oh my god, that's so cool.
Yeah,
we got to learn about the origins of White Court vampires, and it explains a lot about why they're so different from the other courts. It's because they're not truly vampires.
No, not really.
That's really cool.
Because the Black Court eat people.
The Black Court eat people.
They're like undead cannibals, zombies.
Yeah.
Basically.
The Red
Super zombies.
The Red Court were like gross worms that fed on blood.
Weird flabby bat
worm things.
They're
They're not worms really, but that's how I kind of think about them. And then we've got the Jade Court. I don't know what the fuck is up with them.
None of us do.
Yeah.
I'm hoping we find out more about them eventually.
That would be cool. But before she dropped all that information, she's like, okay, so here's what I want in return. And you will give me this if you want my information. And she says, what I wanted them, that conference. You remember, I said this last episode. I was like, they really need to figure out how they're going to be married, how that's going to work.
So did you so when Harry pauses before they have that they launch into the big conversation.
Yeah.
And he's like, I knew I recognized you.
Yeah.
From those paintings.
Yeah.
Nagel's paintings?
Nagel's paintings.
Have you seen those paintings?
I have not. I have no idea what he's referencing.
Okay, Nagel's paintings in the 80s. I pulled some up on my phone, scroll through those. Those are the kind of like art style that he's referencing.
These women are hot. Okay.
And so I guess apparently if we want a close approximation to what Lara and other Wraith White Court vampires look like.
The closest approximation we're going to get is these 80s Nagel paintings. Yeah, just Google Nagel paintings 80s and you'll see what they were referencing here. And yeah, these ladies are hot. Shit, man. Good. Go Harry.
So there is one specifically that Harry references, and he's like, so that's you in the big one, right?
Right.
I don't know which one that is.
Yeah.
Might be that one. I don't know.
Woo. So Aaron just showed me a picture of a lady in just her bottoms wrapped up in something. She's bound in ribbons or something. Yeah.
I don't know. So what I'm saying is that I don't know which one specifically Harry's referencing, but there's this artist did a lot of these.
Mm-hmm. I thought that was cute. I thought that was a cute moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just like this very serious moment, and Harry's like, I knew I recognized you from somewhere. What do you think Harry is going to do to Lara?
Okay, so Harry's big thing is thaumaturgy.
Yeah.
Which we often see as...
Do something on a small scale, happens on a big scale.
Yeah. Which Harry uses thaumaturgy a lot to bind things.
He does.
He binds creatures. That's his big shit.
He also does it to find creatures.
Right.
Or people.
I think he's gonna bind it somehow.
Bind it to what?
I don't know.
Interesting.
Seal it somehow so it doesn't affect her. I don't fucking know, man. But Harry's big shtick is binding things.
I don't think he's going to remove it.
No.
Because At no point did he express concern for her, like, aging rapidly after he does whatever he does.
If he binds it, can she draw on the energy anymore?
Probably not. It doesn't change that, like, the way it works. If she draws on its power, it demands to be fed. So if she can no longer feel its urges, it stands to reason that she would no longer be able to draw on its power as well. Potentially.
Who knows?
Chapter 28. How Harry went to the Wraith's New Year's party, and how Lord Wraith needled Harry. So it's later that day, and Bear totally knew that he snuck away at 2 a.m, even though he did his absolute damnedest and not to be noticed by Bear. To be fair, Bear did not notice him. Freydis, who works for Laura, noticed that she snuck away, and so process of elimination.
Yeah, so the party itself, huh?
The party itself.
You know, most people are a little scared about meeting their in-laws.
Harry doesn't give a fuck about what Lord Wraith has to say.
I mean, he should. The dude's scary.
He feels like Lord Wraith was needling about things that he doesn't know what he's talking about.
Probably.
What do you think Lord Wraith knows that Harry doesn't?
I don't think Lord Wraith knows anything that Harry doesn't.
Oh, he's just being an asshole.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think Lord Wraith, like usual, like he did when we first encountered him, he thinks he knows things.
Yeah.
He thinks he's the smartest guy in the room.
And Harry has shown growth, and he's strangely, in some twisted way, kind of proud of the fact that Harry has shown growth.
Yeah.
But he's still needling him.
Well, because he's sitting there talking about, like, oh, Laura's hunger, rah, 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 rah.
He's like, oh, did she tell you she's going to be a good vampire?
Yeah.
He's saying all of the things that Harry is afraid of happening.
But I don't think Harry's scared of any of that anymore.
I don't know, man. I think he got his hackles raised a bit.
A little bit, but not as much.
He, like, brought up Murphy, and that pissed him off.
Well, that's just Wraith being an asshole.
Just Wraith being an asshole. So you think Wraith just doesn't know anything?
No.
Okay.
I think he's just being dumb.
I think regardless, Harry was dead on the money. Wraith is trying to distract him, but he doesn't realize that he is trying to distract him at the worst possible time to distract him because he's about to do something dangerous with his daughter. Why are you winking at me?
Dangerous.
Dangerous.
Oh my.
Do you want to be my test subject with intentions?
Intentions, huh?
Like, Laura was straight up. She's like, all right, I can settle for being acquaintances, but with intentions. He's like, oh, okay. All right. Intentions.
Friends with benefits.
I don't think Harry would go that far. I don't think when Harry has sex with her that it's going to be like a dam breaking. I don't think he's going to suddenly turn into Casanova.
I'm very confused.
A very charismatic guy
Yeah, no.
that likes to fuck.
Harry does, though.
Yeah, but he's not going to let himself because he kind of hates himself. And despite all of the growth that he's having, I don't think he's going to ever really stop hating himself.
He might.
He might. But it's not on my bingo card.
He might just really enjoy sex.
Who doesn't? People who have bad sex. And there's no having bad sex with Laura. No.
She would take it as, she would be offended if somebody said it.
Either that or it'd be like, oh, please.
Like, that's not true.
Don't be ridiculous. Don't be absurd. Bad sex with me? Come now. I've had bad sex. You've never had bad sex. That's why.
Harry does kind of have like a gallery of women that he's been with that you're just kind of like, how?
Yeah. I told Kit that and she didn't believe me. I gave her minor spoilers because I wasn't thinking about it. I told her the situation that Harry's in now, which is he's being forced to marry someone after he lost his girlfriend, and he really doesn't want to marry this person. And she was like, why? And I'm like, long story. And she's like, is it because of Faye bullshit? And I said, yeah, it's because of Faye bullshit.
Yeah. And all of the rest of us are like, oh no, you get to marry the supernaturally hot vampire lady.
I mean, you know, Mab's not wrong. Like, there are many men that would kill to be in his position. Not me. I don't want to turn into a blissed out zombie either.
She might not use the hunger.
I think that Lord Wraith raises a very good point. And it is the point that I have been trying to make. And it is that even if Laura is on the up and up, and she truly wants to have an honest go at marriage with Harry and not turn him into a blissed out zombie, there very well could come a day where she will not be able to control herself. And he's the next Buck. I think that is a very valid and legitimate and real concern. Not to Wraith, of course.
Here's the thing, though. Thomas didn't turn Justine into a zombie.
He nearly destroyed her.
That wasn't his fault.
That's not the point, though.
No, what I mean was, he didn't do that. Justine was given to him in a time where he would have died.
And she chose to do that.
Right. That was Justine's choice.
But it does not change.
What I'm saying is that barring some sort of extreme situation,
which could and most likely will happen,
Thomas didn't turn Justine into a zombie.
No.
Every white court has to have purposeful intention to feed.
Let me raise a counterpoint. I think the only reason Justine survived that encounter was because of Nemesis.
Nemesis wasn't in her yet.
Do you know that for sure?
She survived because Thomas pulled back.
Did she, though?
Yeah.
Did she, though?
Yeah.
When did she get possessed? Are you sure it was after that encounter? You don't know.
That was in book 5? 6?
I don't know, but you don't either.
It was the porn star sorceress's book. Which one was that?
That was book 6.
Okay. Book 6. Nemesis wasn't even introduced.
That's not the point. Because we know that Nemesis fucked with the Linanshi back in book 3, and that was well before it was introduced.
No, they didn't meet the she-sickle until book 3.
No, but they established that the things that the Linanshi did in that book were in part because of Nemesis's influence. They established that in Cold Days.
No, he got into her because of the Athame.
Uh-huh. That night.
Yeah, so he was in the Liananshi during that.
Can Nemesis not be in multiple people at a time?
It's never been established.
Hmm.
It's a singular being that possesses a person.
I don't know. I just always operated under the assumption that that thing could possess multiple people. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Who knows? Anyway, circling back. I don't think we're going to resolve this argument today.
Well, we don't know. To pull a card out of your deck.
Yeah.
If it's not in the books, we don't know.
That's true. We don't know. But I was drawing from things that were in the books.
Most of my conclusions, so do I.
Yeah, but you're forgetting things.
Yeah, but you're forgetting things.
I am also forgetting things. Probably.
Both of us are. It's a big series.
It is a big series. Well, anyway, we're not going to resolve this discussion today. This chapter ends with Harry going to go meet up with Laura in an executive suite to go do whatever he's going to do. Freydis thinks to bone, but obviously not.
There might be boning.
You know, there might be boning, actually, now that you mention it. Yeah. All right. What do you think? Will boning happen next chapter?
I'm going to say no. Like, I genuinely don't think so, but it might.
I think to be obstinate, I'm going to say yeah. Or it will almost happen, and then he'll succeed at whatever he's doing, and then it won't happen.
Boom.
All right. We will be back next week to talk about chapters 29 through 32. See you then.
Bye.